Okay, Psalm 139, it's part 2 tonight. And as I mentioned, it's probably one of the most well-known psalms. It's been referred to as the crown of all psalms, and it's truly a great psalm of David. And there are many, many good theological lessons as we consider this psalm, and especially with regard to the attributes of God, who God is, what is God like, and what kind of God is He. And we know that this psalm discusses in fairly great detail 3 well-known attributes of God. Point number 1, that God knows everything, that God is omniscient, that God is everywhere, the part that we'll do tonight. He is omnipresent, and that God is all-powerful. He is omnipotent. And last week I had a number of points, if you remember. We considered verses 1 through to 6, God's omniscience. David affirmed it. He said, we discussed God knows me, God knows everything I do, God knows everything I think, God knows everywhere I go, and God knows everything I say. And then David's acknowledgement of God's care and God's comfort, and that beautiful verse that he says, Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. David's amazement and David's adoration. And then our application, and I'm finished off by saying, it's not just that God knows everything, it's also that God knows me. And so tonight I'll study from verse 7 through to verse 12. For the purpose of time, I won't read it. We'll just go through it quickly. Tonight's title is God is everywhere. God is everywhere. He is omnipresent. Omnipresent. And I have 5 points, all starting with C tonight. Let's leave the R's. We go to see this confirmation of God's omnipresence. There's confidence in God's omnipresence. There's a consideration of God's omnipresence. There's caution regarding His omnipresence. And then contemplation and conclusion. So let's go through confirmation of God's omnipresence. There it is in verse 7. In verse 7, whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? Now, it's not as if David wants to flee from God. He's just mentioning that even if I wanted to flee, I cannot flee from the presence of God. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy spirit? Where could I really go if I really wanted to flee? Verse 8 says, if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. In other words, no matter how high I go, no matter even how low I go, God is there. Verse 9, if I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea. What David is saying, no matter how far east, which is east here, or how far west, or how deep, there is no getting away from God's presence. Distance is no distance in the sight of God. God is omnipresent. So there is David's confirmation of God's omnipresence. But look at the confidence that he has in God's omnipresence, or the comfort that he gets from that. And he says in verse 10, I love this verse. He says, even there. In other words, no matter where I go, even there shall thy hand lead me, and even there, verse 10, shall thy right hand hold me. Even there. Underline those 2 words. Circle them. David is saying, no matter where I find myself, no matter where I go, even there, God is there. God is omnipresent. And so wherever you are, you have God's presence. And not only that, but you have God's hand to lead you, and you have God's hand to hold you. Even there. And then he dwells a little bit more on the confirmation of God's omnipresence. Verse 11, he says, if I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. And David is saying, no matter how dark it is. Verse 12 says, yea, the darkness which hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. Meaning, night, even the darkness cannot shut out the presence of the Lord. Darkness is not darkness to God. What amazing confirmation. So, not only is God omniscient, but God is omnipresent as well. And these are the points. He is all present. He is present in every place at the same time. He is present everywhere at once, anytime, all the time. All places at one and the same time, all the time. And God is always present everywhere in the universe. And God is not limited by time or space. Also, God is wholly present. All of God is present everywhere. God doesn't have to spread himself thin all over the world so that he can be here a little, there a little. No, all of God is present everywhere. All of God is completely present at every point in the universe all the time. Just try and get that, wrap that around our heads. God, all of God is completely present at every point in the universe all the time. He is fully and completely present, even here, as though he is nowhere else. Now, number 3, the consideration of God's omnipresence. What does it really mean? What does it signify for us? Let me try and break it down by subdividing it into 1 or 2 points. When you consider that God is omnipresent, this is what, for me, what it means. No building can contain, or no building can confine God. And isn't that so appropriate now in the era of COVID-19? Today, God dwells among his people and in his people wherever they are and wherever they go. And praise God for that, so that even though we are scattered, you are in your home and I am in my home, God dwells amongst us and in us, and he is ever present everywhere. We do not and we cannot contain and confine God to a particular building. God is always present whether people believe it or not. We're not asking people to believe it. We are not trying to convince them. We know God is present everywhere. I can illustrate this by a story. It talks about in the early days of space travel, one of the Russian cosmonauts returning from orbiting the Earth to announce that he had looked out of his space capsule and he had not seen God anywhere. To which Dr. W.A. Criswell of the First Baptist Church of Dallas replied, "Let him take off his spacesuit for just 1 second and he'll see God quick enough." We don't have to convince anybody. God is present everywhere. Another point to consider with regard to God's omnipresence. He is present in the worst, in the saddest, in the hardest, and the most painful moments of our lives. You name it, God is there with us. That's what David could say so confidently. Even there in your suffering, even there in your pain, your sickness, your cancer, your grief, your trauma, your loss, your sorrow, your bitterness, even through the fires, through the floods, every natural disaster, through your accidents, through your personal loss, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Doesn't Psalm 23 say the same thing? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? For thou art with me. Because of God's omnipresence, you never have to ask, but where is God when I need him? He is right there. Jesus said in Matthew, I am with you always. What about Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, when Moses was preparing the people for his departure? He said, "Be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee, he will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." Another consideration, God is always available to us, wherever we are, wherever we go, 24 hours a day. Think of it. 24 hours a day, every minute of every single day, we have God's full attention. You never have to make an appointment with God. He's never too busy to hear you when you pray. He's never preoccupied with other people's problems. He is never on voicemail. You never get an engaged tone. You are never put on hold. You are never in a queue. What's the worst when you're phoning? You are number 32 in the queue. You never have to leave a message. You will never hear the words, "The subscriber you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later." All of God is completely available to you no matter where you are. Even now, God may be busy with 8,310,000 cases of COVID-19 in 213 countries, and still God hears you when you are praying as if you were the only one praying. He is present everywhere, all the time, just for you, as if you were the only one praying. But there's a caution. The caution regarding God's omnipresence. I'm going to read something. I want you to listen very, very carefully. Because of God's omnipresence, God can be ignored, but he cannot be avoided. And J.C. Ryle wrote a booklet. It's called Thoughts for Young Men. Thoughts for Young Men. And this is what he had to say about the eyes of God. He says, resolve never to forget the eye of God. I'm going to read it. Everywhere, in every house, in every field, in every room, in every company, alone or in a crowd, the eye of God is always on you. That's from Proverbs 15 verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the good, the wicked and the good. And God's eyes are eyes that read hearts as well as actions. He says, endeavor, I beg you, to realize this fact. Remember that you have to deal with an all-seeing God, a God who never sleeps, a God who understands your thoughts, and with whom the night shines as the day. You may leave your father's house and go away like the prodigal into a far country and think that there is nobody to watch your conduct. But the eye and ear of God are there before you. You may deceive your parents or your employers. You may tell them lies and act one way before their faces and another behind their backs, but you cannot deceive God. He knows you through and through. He heard what you said as you came here today. He knows what you are thinking of at this minute. He has set your most secret sins in the light of his countenance, and they will one day come out before the world to your shame, except you take heed. How little is this really felt? How many things are done continually, which men would never do if they thought they were seen? How many matters are transacted in the rooms of imagination, which would never bear the light of day? Yes, men entertain thoughts in private and say words in private. They do acts in private, which they would be ashamed and blush to have exposed before the world. The sound of a footstep coming has stopped many a deed of wickedness. A knock at the door has caused many an evil work to be hastily suspended and hurriedly laid aside. But oh, what miserable folly is all this. There is an all-seeing witness with us wherever we go. Yeah, lock the door, pull down the blind, turn out the light. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. God is everywhere. You cannot shut him out or prevent his seeing. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. That's the caution regarding God's omnipresence. Finally, our contemplation. Our contemplation. What does it mean to me? Think about this. How close do you feel to God tonight? Or do you feel far away from him? Do you feel, where is God? Do you feel abandoned? Have you been asking that question, where is God when I need him? Let me answer this with two verses. Psalm 145 verse 18 says, the Lord is nigh unto all them that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. What about James? James 4 verse 8, draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Draw nigh to God, he will draw nigh to you. That's all you have to do. Come, draw near to him. And so the question is, and this is what I want you to contemplate. If you are feeling far away from God, or if you feel that God is nowhere near you, my question is, who moved? Who moved? And I can tell you very honestly, it's not God. It's not God. So if you feel that God is far away, or you want to feel God's presence, you draw near to him. You come closer to him and see how God comes close to you. Remember, there is no place on this planet that is too far from God. No matter where you go, God is there. No matter where you find yourself tonight, God is there. No place is too far. And that's why I take comfort from verse 10 of Psalm 139. And that's what the verse I want to leave with you. Even there. Where do you find yourself tonight? Lonely? Upset? Anxious? Even there, you are not alone. Why? because you have God's hand to lead you, and you have God's right hand to hold you. And that's the lesson of God's omnipresence. God's omnipresence. Even there. Even there. Thank you. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Please spend some time in prayer, and you can make some time to listen to our President's address later on. Thanks again for joining us. Let's close in prayer. Our Father, we thank you again for this lesson tonight. That no matter where we find ourselves, we can never be alone. We can never be out of your presence. Because no matter where we go, no matter where we are, God is there, ever present, totally present, fully present. And all of God is present with us. And even now as I'm praying, you are listening to me as if I am the only one praying tonight. Even there. Father, tonight we pray for Cindy, especially as she goes into hospital tomorrow morning. Be with her, just comfort and strengthen her. Help her not to feel disillusioned. Pray even too for Imelda, she's being admitted tonight, Lord. And I know how she was so upset to have to go back. Father, just be with her and help her to recover quickly so that she too can be discharged. Pray for our sister Pierre, who's also not well. Pray for Brother Sid. We thank you that finally he's ready to come home. Please strengthen him. We know that he's frail. And Father, I just pray for Sister Avril as well, for strength for her as she has to take care of her ill husband. And for the rest of us and the rest of our families, those who are sickly, those who are in need, whatever the case is, Lord, we thank you for the promise that we have. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Even there. Even there. Bless our time of prayer as families just now, as we look to thee and as we make our requests known to thee, as we worship and praise thee through prayer. We pray and ask all this now in Jesus' name with much thanksgiving. Amen.